The Walt Disney Company is facing a really challenging November coming up, with attendance crashing across the parks and a potential proxy battle brewing on the horizon. But that's not all. The election is coming, and Disney faces challenges no matter who wins. Today we'll explain why Disney is facing hurdles they never thought they'd see, even if Kamala wins. Hello, folks, and happy Sunday. I don't know if you all have heard, but, there's an election coming up. I know, there's no news about that whatsoever, and nobody's talking about it. But by golly, somebody's got to do it, so we'll talk about it here in relation to entertainment and Disney. And yes, we are in jest. We are kidding, folks, because we know that everywhere you go, that's all anyone is talking about, covering, interested. You get the idea. But someone who is interesting on any topic he's given is the Hollywood guru himself, LW Ghost. Welcome back, sir.
I thought for a minute you were going to say they rebranded it as Disney's presidential election.
Disney would love that, depending on how things go. Folks, as we get ready to start, click the like button, and Lou, let's get started, because this is a big one. It's out of That Park Place, and it says, the Walt Disney Company has much to fear with the outcome of the U.S. elections, proxies, polls, and more. All right, this is a very in-depth and dense article. And folks, I would highly recommend that if you enjoy the content from today, please note that some of the polling data we're pulling is coming from Rasmussen. Now, you can have any opinion you want about Rasmussen or Atlas Intel or any of these other groups that do their work. That's fine. But I just want to let you know that on Renegade Online, on the Valiant Renegade channel today, later today, if you're watching this video at the time of release, I'll be over there co-hosting with Valiant Renegade. And Rasmussen is going to be sending their lead guy over there, and we're going to be discussing the polls. Now, we're not going to be doing that from the point of, pulling for one side or being political or what have you. We're doing this as entertainment analysis and what are the implications for the entertainment industry. Here's what it says out of the article. November 30th, 2023 was the day that activist investor Nelson Peltz threw his hat into the ring to wage a proxy battle against the Walt Disney Company leadership. Though unsuccessful for Peltz, November of 2024 is shaping up to be perhaps even more formidable for CEO Bob Iger, with headwinds at every corner. It's not just the opportunity for a new activist investor to take on a company that has struggled to stay north of $100 per share. It's the dawning of a sociopolitical environment in stark contrast with the vision of a mega corporation that wants to, quote unquote, reimagine tomorrow. Now, we already know that ABC News got in bed with a particular political persuasion. If you've watched this channel, you know that, folks. We're going to continue ahead because, this is political stuff that we've covered in the past. However, that's not even close to the total issues that exist for Disney. It says that's problem number one. And trust me, it's the least bad situation Disney has. And it's talking about if Harris were to win this election, what would be happening with Dana Walden and her position to perhaps take over as CEO of the company. But, Lou, there is an alternative that they may like even less. And that is, what if the conservatives win the White House? So, let's take a look at this. According to the poll sponsored and commissioned by the American Thinker done by Rasmussen, according to the poll, Michigan's likely voters have Harris at 49% and former President Donald J. Trump at 48%. However, the ranking is reversed when it comes to competency. And essentially what this is to say is that this one is as nail-biting as you can get, perhaps, and Michigan is most favorable of all the Rust Belt swing states to the Democrats.
And,
so
and
now,
the standard on all of these polls is that the margin of error, as they call it, is 3%.
Right. And so it's
anytime it's within 3, they're guessing.
It's now looking more and more like perhaps the front runner is Trump. Okay. Well, what does that mean for Disney? What does that mean for entertainment? Well, if Republicans take back the White House and both houses of Congress, then Disney is potentially facing a very hostile executive branch and legislative branch looking down at them. And so you could see Disney now faced with investigations. You could see significant oversight. And that's in no small part because Disney has put themselves into a very hyper-partisan political kind of stance.
Yeah, and it's important to note, it's really important, saying, oh, if Trump and the Republicans win, they're going to investigate Disney, does not mean bias. It means things that should have been investigated that never did get investigated might now be investigated. In other words, without the commissions of questionable behavior, this is not just this is not Russia, okay?
Exactly. And I would love folks to play this for you, but I highly recommend that you go to thatparkplace.com to this article and click on this video because it comes from Disney. It's called Reimagine Tomorrow. And Lou, what they do in this video, and I'm sure you've watched it, is they take many of the classic Disney movies, and Disney itself, the company, strings those movies together in such a way as to make it look as if Walt, because he was overseeing all those movies, that Walt was a terrible, terrible person. And they do this to the most significant, most impactful damage they can to their company, and they're actually taking a swing at very important cultural stuff. Now, there is something that we can play, and by the way, this, Lou, is a chart showing attendance at Disney World. It's down as well. There are lots of things facing Disney, but this is what might get the investigations going. I want to play this, and then as we play it, folks, you may have seen it before, but please consider what are the ramifications for Disney if things do not go in what they clearly, I think, wish to be politically for the nation. Here's the video, Lou, and then we'll get your take.
It's like, I love Disney's content. I grew up watching, all of the classics. They have been a huge, informative part of my life. But at the same time, I worked at small studios most of my career, and I'd heard, you hear whispers. I'd heard things like, oh, they won't let you show this at a Disney show. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little sus when I started. But then my experience was bafflingly the opposite of what I had heard. On my little pocket of Proud Family Disney TVA, the showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so I feel I felt it was, maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened in the last they are turning it around, they're going hard. And then all that momentum that I felt, that sense of I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss, let's in the background I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud of it. But I just was no one would stop me.
This is referring to children's content, Lou, and this has taken over large parts of the company, whether it's the theme parks, whether it's Pixar or Disney Animation, whether it's TV, what have you. And by the way, this lady was working, we believe, under the direction of Dana Walden, who could be the next CEO. Lou, in your assessment, how bad are things for Disney if the conservatives take over the presidency as well as both chambers of Congress?
Well, if they play by the rules, which I hope they will, it's not about how much gayness they put in, as questionable as that is. The question is not, can I do a little or can I do a lot? The question is it appropriate for a children's program to do any one way or the other? In other words, nobody who thinks that the stuff they've put in is wrong thinks instead they should show people with torches surrounding the local gay guy's house and burning it down.
The advocacy, Lou, is for Disney to go to the center, right? That's what we do.
And to realize,
go to the middle.
That they are a neutral company. It's a company based in family programming, and that shouldn't be a part of family programming. But where it could get hot are things like the Reedy Creek Sif-Tod affair, things like illegally selling federally tax-free bonds,
allegedly,
for parking structures,
allegedly,
things like iffy questions of energy and of legal jurisdiction, and
allegedly.
Yeah.
Hey, Lou.
Well, it's all alleged until somebody convicts somebody.
It's always alleged until it's proven. Hey, Lou, it's not just that they could be under investigatory efforts going forward, and there's plenty to look into them. And when we bring up that Reimagine Tomorrow stuff, we're not suggesting that Disney will be investigated necessarily because of that, or maybe they won't be investigated in regards to that, but it sure as heck is probably going to make some conservatives say, you know what, maybe they do need some oversight.
Well, wait a minute, though. It's the reverse of what you just said.
Please explain.
It is because of that, but it is not in regard to that. By
That's
which I mean,
was trying to go. Yeah.
Had they not raised such a stink about the so-called "Don't Say Gay" bill, nobody would have ever said, well, gee, why are you doing this? And why are we giving you all these goodies and special exemptions and special status and the right to build your own airport and nuclear plant when nobody else gets it?
Right.
Why are we redefining tax-exempt districts to include powers they were never supposed to include?
For those who don't know, that bill that Lou is referring to was legislation passed in Florida, which, by the way, we don't know of anybody who's suffering now in Florida because of it. No, there are no stories happening that we've seen. But what it did is it said that teachers and school officials could not have in their official curriculum for preschool through, I believe, third grade. So you're talking about 4-year-olds to 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, something like that. That issues of we got to be careful how we say this. Theory regarding personal identity. Does that say, folks? Theories surrounding personal identities, specifically bedroom issues, could not be part of curriculum for 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds. You get the idea in Florida. Okay, so they used that to get rid of Bob Chapek and put themselves squarely into partisan territory. But Lou, the punishment has been severe for Disney. This chart, by the way, is showing the wait times for Walt Disney World Resort, and it's broken down month by month, year by year. Now, if we take a look at where we are, you can see that line is dropping consistently. And that is because since the beginning of 2024, this company has been in decline when it comes to their most important asset. So, Lou, it's not only politics that Disney is in trouble with. They're suffering with their brands. They're suffering with their theme parks. And as we said before, Lou, Nelson Peltz came riding in last year, November 30th. November, if the election goes poorly, and if they don't fix this attendance problem, there is a potential scenario where somebody says, I'm getting in here and I'm fixing this. It's interesting to me. What do you make of it, Lou?
Well, first of all, if they do, it'll be cheaper than it was a year ago.
Right.
Because they've done nothing but degrade the value of the brand since. So it's easier. But the main thing about this whole situation, lots of people who had a conservative point of view didn't know that when they were watching ESPN, they were paying Disney. Now they do.
Right.
Lots of people didn't know that this woman and her ilk were going out of their way to put, as she put it, gayness into family kids entertainment. Now they do.
Right.
You know, we cover these stories and we keep on the ball, but it seems like every time there's a new revelation, another 5 million people say, I'm not going there anymore and spending my money on what did somebody do just recently on our channels? They came up with the fact that for a family of 4 with the new super duper, $2,000 a day.
Yep.
If I'm going to spend $2,000 a day at all in an economy that you could potentially blame on a certain party, I'm sure as hell not going to spend it with the people who like them.
Yes, and one of the issues of making the company political, Lou, is that conservatives and moderate Americans are turning away from the theme parks. Well, the problem is the domestic theme parks are the linchpin of the stock, the linchpin of revenue. I mean, far and away. I mean, you can imagine, you can say, oh, well, Disney's a big company. The movies are the biggest thing. No, they're not even close. It's the theme parks. It's amazing how much revenue the theme parks generate.
And that's that percentage of the theme parks of the total company. That's in a good year. Throw in these years they've been having where they spend $400-500 million on a movie that doesn't earn back its popcorn. Right. And do 4 of those in a year. And you got trouble in River City, So
let me ask you this, Lou. We've played out now why this is such a big deal for Disney and why I believe they're heavily invested in the idea of not having the conservatives take over. And by the way, if there is a consensus election where this isn't close, and I really, really do hope, folks, either way, I hope it's a blowout. And I mean that. Either way, let's let's move on as a country, one way or the other. I think the most damaging thing we can get into is a very close and drawn out situation where there's no real consensus. I hope we get a consensus election. That said, Lou, let's play out the scenario. And I think this one's unlikely as far as consensus goes, but let's play out the scenario that Harris wins. The interesting damage that's done to Disney there is they have a VP, they have a TV exec, Dana Walden. She came in with Fox a few years ago. She's the one who's over ABC News. She's the one who oversaw that debate, probably. She's the one who oversees streaming failures like Agatha, things like Acolyte. The streaming business for Disney is just abysmal. We won't get into it too deeply right now. But Lou, if Walden is to win, if Harris is to win, although they're not much different, if Harris is to win, Walden seems to me to be vaulted up as potentially the next CEO, in spite of the fact that she's failing at everything.
And in spite of the fact
you assess that
the recent announcements about the succession have made it pretty clear they want to go outside.
Right. Exactly. But they might be forced to not.
That would bring her back in.
Exactly. Because, they might owe it, right? So
not only owe it, they'd be like, why would we throw away a connection to the White House?
Exactly. And so if we go down here, let me see if I can find it. Here it is. This is from Alex Weprin of The Hollywood Reporter. It says the move by Gorman. This is the guy they brought in from Morgan Stanley to help select what could be an external candidate. It says the move by Gorman to say that Disney is targeting a 2026 CEO announcement suggests that the board thinks the internal candidates, which include Dana Walden, Josh D'Amaro, Jimmy Pitaro, and Alan Bergman, are not quite ready to take over yet. Now, that's a funny way of saying they're never going to be ready to take over because that's the chance.
It's not quite. We'll just wait a little longer. You'll all be swell.
Right,
it's
you're done.
No way, no how.
Right.
And by the way, after this election gets passed, regardless of what happens, you think all those people are going to stick around?
That's a great point.
If you know you're now in a dead end, you go looking for somewhere else.
So, Lou, if Miss Walden is promoted to CEO, and clearly, it seems to me, they're not confident in her any longer. So she was seemingly handpicked, right? They were sending her to the white tie dinners at the White House, which are very rare. Go greet French President Emmanuel Macron. We didn't realize, I don't think back then, many people knew that she's besties with Kamala Harris. But if her connection with the incoming president were that scenario to play out, if that gets her the spot of CEO, what do you think happens at the company? Well, how would that play out? She's about as far into the quote unquote progressive spectrum as you can go for CEOs.
Well, the first thing that it says to everybody of a moderate, let alone conservative persuasion in their audience, in their customer base, is you thought we had contempt for you before? Well,
you ain't
hold our beer.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it says worse is yet to come. You want to stick around or you want to go somewhere else?
Right. You think us removing ladies and gentlemen from the theme parks and substituting it because we can't say that ladies and gentlemen exist? You think that's a big deal? Just wait what they're coming up with.
And by the way, I should point out, with these stories about people fighting and people voiding themselves in public, isn't it funny how when they stopped calling them ladies and gentlemen, more of them stopped acting like ladies and gentlemen in the parks?
Well, that's a good point. I'll say this, Lou. I hope an outcome that I think would be good politically in society is I hope we can get back to acting like ladies and gentlemen. I really, really do hope that civility will ring out across the nation in the days and weeks to come. I hope that we will get back to an entrepreneurial spirit, back to inventing and creating and building and making universal entertainment, fun stuff for everybody, and stop denigrating people. I hope tribalism is defeated once more, and brothers and sisters all across the nation, no matter your background, no matter your creed.
Absolutely. But
makes me happy.
On a bottom line business basis, if you're going to sell something that pretends to be what it used to be, but has changed in its core values for $2,000 a day, at the very least, you better hope the people in charge of the country and the economy are going to make an atmosphere again in government, in business, in regulation, in taxes, and everything else that puts some more people out there with $2,000 in their pocket to spend. Because there are fewer and fewer of those, the more we go in this direction.
Otherwise, you're going to have to find those ultra-rich, ultra-elites internationally. And good luck with that. Good luck with that, Disney, because I think many of them are going to the French Riviera. All right, Lou, it's been a fun time. Folks, we hope we added value. We hope we added value to your day. It's important to us. That's why we do this each and every day. Folks say, well, why do you keep at it? Why do you keep, dealing with some of this stuff that can be negative? And it's like, well, because we believe in a positive tomorrow if we identify the areas that can be improved upon. And Disney can surely, at this point, use some improving.
And one more thing.
Go ahead, Lou.
Just before we began, I told you something I read earlier this evening. It was a New York-based Democrat political operative. And somebody asked them how they felt about the election this Tuesday. Their description, their phrase is telling. It said, "We're feeling nauseously optimistic."
I think Disney's just feeling nauseous.
It's all that $23 a slice cake, I tell you.
Yeah, that'll do it. That will definitely do it. If it's not the sugar that makes you want to vomit, it's the cash. All right, folks, you can help us improve this video by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And go check out on our member exclusive side of things, the Genre Guys. Lou and the crew just recorded one yesterday, and we've got it coming out very, very soon. We want to share it with you.
We're going to record one as soon as I leave you right now.
That's right. Folks, the best way you can enjoy it, become a member. If not, after 2 or 3 months, those go to That Pod Place, another YouTube channel, we hope, to which you will subscribe. Folks, until the next time, we have the joy of being enjoined with you for a time of analyzing and truth and telling and talking and chatting and all of that. Well, we send you out this way. Keep learning, keep growing, and as ever, keep having fun.
Fine.
Wilton, what are you doing?
Well, I was feeling really behind and uneducated on all the happenings in the entertainment world. So, I was trying to work out a solution, specifically around 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And, well, this is what I came to.
That's not what that means.
Oh.
But, why wouldn't you just watch Midnight's Edge on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays? And on Tuesdays, on WDW Pro Channel, you got the Pro Show, and on Thursdays, you got That Park Place with Jonas and Vash.
Jonas? That guy sucks.
Well, feel free to jump in the chat and remind him of that regularly.
I won't feel free. I am free, baby. But I think you forgot something important.
What's that?
On Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, there's something really special that happens on Florals from Under a Rock.
Ah, right.
Under a Rock, where we don't simply talk about entertainment. We actually try to be the entertainment. Which, I mean, Floral, you're actually kind of dragging the show down, you know what I mean?
Well, theoretically, you and everyone else knows now what's happening at 12 Eastern Time throughout the week.
Yep. Now, just a point of clarity. You say 12 p.m. Eastern Time that the Midnight's Edge will be happening. Is Tom gonna commit to being on time?
That's a fair question.
Okay.